Hi, I'm Coach Amber. Welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Coach Nial. Hi, Nial.
Hey, Amber, how are you?
I'm doing great. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what your health was like prior to starting a meat-based diet. Did you have any issues, like any health issues or anything like that you want to talk about?
Nothing that was evolved and solidified, and I would say I got lucky with that because I never really did feel um, right. I always had huge bloating. I always had a gut. Not a big one because I was always an athlete, but I always felt like I was so full all the time, and I thought that was like my normal. I thought that was the way to do things, and I never really was conscientious of what I was doing, as far as performance and diet and the connections with those, with your food fuel source, as far as max performance and like the benefits that entails, and then just the I could go back just before I started my career, and I was just rolling dice on, like, well, okay, I'm going to try this time and this time, and I'd always feel like it was Thanksgiving, and never. So I think that was how I would answer that. It was never really. It was an uncomfortable feeling for a long time, every day, and I just thought that was normal. And I think I got lucky there. I really did. That it didn't surface into some sort of something that I had to be diagnosed with. So
So you
yeah,
just kind of felt like you were just a little bit off, like something wasn't quite right.
yeah. It was a very not mindful way of eating. And it was just, like you go buy a super big gulp and a burrito at the store or whatever, and be done with it. And I would always feel super full, super borderline nauseous, and I would have to, like, kind of sleep it off, you could say. And I would burn. I would say, like, self, you had to burn a hole to make room for more calories. I had that kind of mindset, and so I would, like, you know go out and maybe train all week to have a good day at the end of the weekend. Maybe go out, have some beers or whatever, and it was just completely ridiculous thinking, and a vicious loop, like doing all this exercise and then shooting yourself in the foot with your diet, going back, doing a ton of exercise again, and then shooting yourself in the foot, and never actually going forward, just kind of like staying in a circle, like a dog, chasing his tail, and never really, like breaking through like a wall. Yeah, I never really did that. I feel although I feel I got lucky in a lot of different areas, just by, like, will and weather, and I think that's about it. But as far as like strength and like appropriate um energy sources to put, and like strategically placed to get you to the other side and break through, I never even had a thought of that. Had no idea what I was doing with that. And so I kind of suffered oh, I feel full and that's normal program, and I think this cost 20 years. Like, I would do that same circle over and over and over again. It was just, my routine was very strong, and I pat myself on the back for that, to burn that hole, to fill the calories. Otherwise I would probably be type 2 diabetic or definitely would have had a chronic disease if I didn't, burn something off in the morning every day when I would swim or lift at night or both, and that was just my routine. I think that kind of took care of it for me, but that was luck. That was just pure luck. And so I would I'm thankful for that, but now it's a much different, much different, you know, the last 2 years, I started being really, really mindful. When I got the term in my head, I need a different fuel source. Maybe it was I was approaching kind of a different age bracket, so I had to be strategic and sneaky about how I wanted to get on the other side and other shores and swim across different oceans, so I said, yeah, let me see, what kind of strategy can I do? The burrito super big gulp thing, I don't think that's going to work for me now. You know what I mean? I have a different system now. I'm in a different country now. We have to switch gears here. We have to kind of bust through. We have to exceed that level from yesterday. We have to beat that guy up from yesterday, and we have to go way beyond, in a place that most people would even consider that, which makes me very proud. So how am I going to do this? So fuel source came into my brain. It wasn't a diet, you Google search a diet and there's 5,000 different diets and you could just lose your mind and everybody has this and it's always a program and you just follow it and there you are. But everyone's different, man. So I said, well, let's go with a fuel source. What would be the best fuel source? And my particular target is Molokai, and it's in Hawaii, and it's approaching one way or the other. So and it's a beefy program. It's a one-man shot. You earn that beach spot, and to get there is like a 2-year journey. Once you take your little personal vow to yourself to say, you know what, I want to make it across this thing. Let's see where we're willing to go with this. And then that's where I started changing my fuel source and getting rid of carbs and then putting in fat and switching those dials. And, and then that brought me towards keto and then fully carnivore. I threw out more vegetables in my, and believe me, whatever works for you it works for me. But this is just an experiment that I'm doing with myself that evolved over time. And right now I'm at strict carnivore, and it's super interesting, super easy, and I'm loving it. And I've exceeded, prior to getting locked down, I'm from Chicago. Prior to getting locked down about 2.5 months ago, I've been swimming at UIC, University of Illinois in Chicago. And we're the Masters team that splits the pool with the Division I swim team. And for years we did the same workout, and they would put some of the kids in the same lane as the adults, and we were the age of their fathers, But I go back now, just going back 2 months ago when we were hitting it really, really hard, but I'm still hitting the gym real hard, and now I'm sneaking out into the lake, completely under the wire at night, but so I'm still in the mix here. But I have never, ever hit PRs, I call them PRs, personal records, as consistent than I have being strict carnivore. It blows my mind. And it's if I have 20 grams of carbohydrates in the whole day, it'll be a miracle. Very little fiber, very little, vegetables. I crave meat and I crave fat. I live off fat. And I back this up because it is, I'm when you're cooking up eggs and bacon every morning, you're oh man, what am I doing here? It goes against what you're always fed by, the world's protocol, the world dietary pyramid, Diabetes Foundation, American Heart Association. It goes against a lot of that. But you know what doesn't add up? Are your lab reports, are your CAC scans, is your DEXA scans. Is like, this is hardcore fact in your face that just shoots a hole right through any other theory. I go, this is where your cholesterol is at. Boom. Did it go up? No. Did your coronary artery disease get any worse if you had any time? Absolutely not. It's unbelievable. And this is, I've been on like every year I do these labs. Every 6 months I do certain labs, and every 4 months I do a DEXA scan. And when I first started this, it blew my mind. I didn't realize, like, I just started a fuel source. So I just started, with, slowly subtracting things. And this is a couple of years ago when I was overseas. And guys are coming up to me like, hey, Nial, yeah, where's the other half of you? They're kind of busted on me. I'm like, what are you talking about? It didn't like, it didn't really like phase me. Like, I was losing so much weight. And then after about 2 weeks, I'm like, wow, man, my belt's like not even fitting. I go, my pants aren't fitting. Like, nothing's fitting. And thank God I was going home in a couple of weeks because I couldn't take it anymore. Everyone was giving me a lot of hard time. But I'm secretly thinking that, like, maybe I caught a virus or something or whatever. And so I couldn't wait to get to a DEXA scan. I did that as soon as I landed. The next day I went to a DEXA scan here in Chicago. And they said, the lady that was doing it, she was super great athlete and runner. She's like, wow, man. And they track it because I've been doing it for 2 years. They're like, this is the best one you ever had. Now I'm thinking, I asked her, how much muscle did I lose? She goes, you didn't lose any muscle. I go, really? I go, what happened then? She goes, you lost 23 pounds of fat. And I go, really? How about bone density? Perfect. How about muscle? You gained a pound of muscle. I go, how is that possible? I really don't understand. And I go, how could this be a bad thing? And then that's when I started getting to labs and, getting a little bit further, only to be proved, to myself that, like, this shoots a hole right through so many theories. And then if you want to be confident in anything, there's where it's at. Like, you start trying this fuel source for yourself, and you're treading through different, pathways that, you think you're the only one doing it. But there's a lot of people doing this and trying it with incredible life-changing benefits. It's unbelievable. And when you start hearing some of those stories and seeing some of your own labs and seeing the effects on yourself, the confidence that you get from that is just unbelievable. And it's the most bizarre thing. What stems from that, knowing that when you hear, hearsay, or, like everybody seems to be an expert in diet, expert in what you should do and expert in everything. But here's your labs. Here's a number. I don't see how it could go any further than that. And I'm a giant lab rat. And just from like securing that kind of confidence. So when I have a meal, I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm so connected to what this is going to be doing for me, where the fat's going. There's no fear there. There's this all nutrients. There's all, like, this is my fuel source. This is my health. This is a real choice that I'm making, and the last 2 years of my life, especially when I started spinning myself up into this and learning so much more and listening to different podcasts and getting involved with different groups and the peace. I think I've never had peace like this before. I'm so content, you know, and it's really bizarre how you know, you'd think your diet wouldn't have a connection to your like mental state. They are directly connected. I swear. I'm like, you have a great meal that makes you feel so good, and you know where where that choice is going to bring you, or what that's going to prevent you from, you know, like as far as metabolic disease, and you know you're keeping your distance from any type of inflammation or any type of type 2 diabetes. You know that. That's your solid choice. And you did that. You did that for yourself. And you did that for your family. Man, that's peace, man. You know what I mean? And then you feel like every time I eat something, it's bizarre. Like I could eat 4 eggs and six strips of bacon, sit down and eat that, and great, with a little bit of cheese or something, and feel like I can sprint down the road, like literally sprint. I can go to the gym and slam a gym workout. It's just, it's like, wow, it's amazing. You know, I took like the entertainment portion of my diet. Like I don't center my life around entertainment as going out to eat. You know, like that's the big thing. Oh, you know, we're going to have, you know, dessert. We're going to have a coffee. We're going to have this. We're going to have like 10 things. I go, I don't, I really don't see the point in that. Honest to God, I'm like, I just need a steak, and that's about it. It's really bizarre, you know. It's almost embarrassing, you know, because you're going to get all kinds of looks and everything else, and people will not feel good. People will not be ready to dance. People will not be ready to go. They'll be done for the day. You know, it's only lunchtime, man. You know, I'm ready to go. Let's go. You know, and it's like we got so much more to do. Excuse me. You know, I'm like, it doesn't have to end with dinner. You know, it's just a fuel source. It's just like an inconvenience almost, you know, like, oh God, I gotta eat again. Really? Half the time I forget, you know, it's a bizarre thing. And I gotta stay on track here, but I never snack. I have no desire for any. I haven't had a drop of booze in forever. Not that I was like Dean Martin or anything, but I really have no desire for it. You know, I am not that guy. I don't mind. I'm like, I'm cool. And it wasn't like a conscious decision either. It just kind of caught up to me. I never snack. And it's not like a torture or something. I just never think about it. I'm just so content, and like I'm like so appropriately, you know, full, or not, like, you know, like I never, like back in the last two decades of my life, like I was so full all the time, you know, and if I wasn't full, I'd have to go get, you know, top off the tank. I'm always constantly topping off the tank. It never really like settled in. I never really gave my body the opportunity to heal, I would say. You know, that'd be a more appropriate way to say that. You know, now it's completely like, okay, I did this in a gym. Let's heal it up. Let's go get some real good sleep tonight. No, man, I can't get, you know, 6 hours sleep. I got to get into that 7th hour. You know, I have to get that 7th hour in there somewhere, because when I lay it down, you know, I'm going to use my fuel source to heal me up. You know, otherwise, I'm just going to keep shooting myself in the foot and keep going around until my luck runs out. And it will. My luck will run out, you know, based on my age and everything. And now I'm like, okay, age, I don't care about that. You know, I'm looking for the fire. I'm looking for, man, I go to the gym, I'm looking for blood. You know what I mean? I get in there. I do not want to be held back, you know, and my attitude is that. And it's the same thing when I show up at the pool or the lake or whatever. You know, it's like your attitude is like, you search for fire. You know, like you hit the refresh button on that attitude every day, and that fuel source, is absolutely the most important thing to be able to do that, or else you just don't have that's a giant piece, in your system, in your toolbox to be able to push you through at any moment, and I'm like, and I just love talking, to people now about it. And I was never that way. I mean, that's another thing. I'm like, I look back at myself like just like a little while ago, and I'm like, you're having hour-long conversations with people and you're enjoying this. I am completely not that guy. I have to re-put myself in a different box now, because that guy is gone. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he went, but I'm this completely other guy now. And it was just a diet switch. Who was going to figure that out? I'm like, really? This is crazy. I'm like, it's just it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And I've gone through so many changes in just the last couple of years, and I'm actually due for, another lab report like within the next couple of days, and another CAC scan and a DEXA scan coming whenever that place opens back up, and I'm completely confident in that. I've never been so confident in it, and even if you get like weird numbers, you those numbers are going to be that way for a reason. They do not intimidate you. It's like, oh, okay, I'm good with that. Why? Well, because I don't have any inflammation, or I have my glucose is perfect because I eat carnivore all the time. I'm not worried about that number at all. Really? Absolutely. I'm 100% confident in that. Really? Well, yeah, that's my fuel source. I intentionally put that in there. I mean, I listen to myself saying this. I'm like, Niall, where'd you come from? What happened to you? And I'm like, and then I go back and I test this with the gym and swimming and and I have the same calendar I had my entire life, kind of weird that way. And I would track my workouts. I would go back 10 years and I would slam my workout 10 years ago, and I'm like, and, you have not got the memo yet. You're 54 years old, man, and I don't want that memo. I'm not gonna, I'm not that age, I am, God, I can't wait to get up tomorrow and hit the gym. You know what I mean? And it's like, that bleeds into people in the gym, and people in your life, that attitude, like I don't lower my pole so I can like be with a person that's miserable. I say, hey man, I'm going to reach back and grab you. You got to come with me. I'm going to pull you with me. If you may be kicking and crawling, but I'm telling you, there's a different way to do things, and there's a different way to, like different like lenses to look through, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing this now and it's awesome. I'm enjoying my life now more than I've ever had in my entire life. And I've met so many awesome people right here in my living room. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing to me. It's just amazing. And the stories and the courage, just superhuman beings willing to share, willing to take huge risks that no one else would. Especially when you're like fighting dogma and fighting, people's beliefs. Oh, God. And you're willing to throw that out there and like be the target to thousands of arrows, to help another person. These people aren't getting anything from this, and it just warms my heart. I said, man, that's my hero. I want some of that. Give me a piece of this. I just want to I'll drive you around a little bit. Whatever scenario you want, man. I want you to know that I support you in this. And then how could I do that? Well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to be real disciplined about it. And then, I'm going to get back on that forum and I'm like, you know what? Hey, I got something today. When you have a moment to share something, just kind of jump in there and share it. Some people are, so many people are willing to share things, and the shares that I get at 11 o'clock on MeetRx, the forum, for the members, if you listen, and most of the time I just listen, it'll change your life, and they're not selling anything. There's no t-shirt to buy. They're just sharing. This is how I've changed. And the things they share are so compassionately, humbly, and modestly shared with another human being. It's like, things like I had this debilitating depression and I changed it around. I mean, wow. Like the courage to like be forefront with, your like human issues, and in hopes that someone else hears it and then takes on that opportunity, like to make certain choices for themselves that can help change themselves, without, a prescription drug or more drugs, or, adhering to, some sort of weird dogma or whatever. Just, it takes courage to actually like break out and like step back and take a breath, man, and ask yourself, is this working for me? What I'm doing? Like, where am I? What's happening to me? And how can I fix it? Just what can I do? Ask yourself that. What can I do? What do I think? Like in your quiet moment, like just sit for a second, and maybe it'll come to you. I hope it does. I would bet it does, because you know what? It's your right to have health. Like it's your, how can I say this? It's almost like your responsibility to take the most healthful avenue. It's you're number one. It's wrap your mind around that. And it sounds like selfish, but you are. And then once you do that, your family benefits. They'll be like, wow, what happened to you? And you just kind of like switch gears a little bit and say, you know what, I'm going to kind of take care of things. And you can learn how to do this. It's very simple. So simple. It's easy fixes. It's not even a fix. That's a bad word. There's nobody broken. It's just like, you just need a little tweak. Turn a dial the other way. Just a small change, over a little bit of time makes a huge difference. There's a cumulative effect there. There really is. And, I can only reflect on like what I'm doing for myself and be really, really authentic with that. And I could honestly say that just a little bit of time, and I never in my wildest dreams, I couldn't even dream this dream, if that even makes sense, that I'd be in this place at this time now. I mean, it was
I love that. I absolutely love that.
I mean, there was, it was, I'm so thankful. I'm grateful. I am. I'm completely authentic with that. And so happy I'd be able to say those words just roll out of my mouth. I love those words. For everything I have, which is not really that much, to be honest with you, but I'm thankful for, so much. I have, I got my health. I am absolutely on no medications, no nothing. I have no intention of doing that. I am going to prevent that with diet. and taken care of and really knowing what my health is. I take an active step towards that. And everybody could do that. You know, it's you know, it's almost like an obligation. You should really be obliged to take care of your health, not go to your doctor and ask him in a 10-minute conversation, how am I doing? Does that make sense? You know, you go once a year and you're probably lying because you don't want to admit half the stuff you do. And you're kind of hoping and sweating that you don't get the diagnosis. And then when you don't, you're good for another year. Come on now. Really? That's not going to work. That's going to catch up to you. Just do the easy math with that, you know, and then that's part of that. Hey, take a step back, take a deep breath, take an honest look, you know, just at yourself. Are you smiling? I can't get the smile off my face. I swear to God. Are you laughing every day? Well, you should be. You really should. You should be enjoying everything. You know, do you enjoy your wife? Do you enjoy your kids? You know, and do you enjoy the people around you? Do you enjoy conversations? If I went back 5 years, just 5 years, I would not be able to answer those questions, honestly. I would not. I could say that now. I really enjoy, you know, the conversations I have with people, and they're really powerful. And I like me, you know. I wouldn't be able to say that for a long time. I don't think. I don't even think I knew this guy, to be honest with you. But I could honestly say, I kind of like this guy, you know. He ain't so bad, you know. And I really came to a good place in my life to be able to do that, you know. So
That's amazing.
I don't know
love that.
if I answered your question somewhere in that, wherever. I don't know. You didn't have to push a lot to get me going. I just love talking about this. I apologize if I went off track as I usually do. I don't know. I think maybe I got like Tourette's or something. I'm not sure.
No, that was awesome. And I really love how you said you kind of started this whole thing because you were looking for a fuel source, where most of us, I think, have come around because we wanted to lose weight, because we wanted to reverse our diabetes or whatever health issues. So I think that's a really cool perspective, the way you looked at it. So let's go to our next question. And can you?
I apologize, everybody.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so you've kind of mentioned a little bit of how you eat, but could you kind of give us more of an idea of what you do on a day-to-day basis? Maybe just tell us what you have in a day. And do you ever include dairy? Do you include eggs? Do you fast? Did you have any transitional issues when you moved to meat-based? Any of that would be good.
Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, easy. You know, I started this thing when I was in Israel at the time, and some of they got a lot of different religions in Israel and that country. It's a beautiful country. But if you were dependent on going to eat someplace, there's a different schedule for everything. So half the time I would go to bed hungry, you know, and then do the math later on. After I would the first thing I would do is go swimming or hit the gym before work. And that was around 18, 20 hours, you know, a lot of the time. So, and I just kind of did that just maybe out of pure laziness. I know I had a hip flexor tear, you know, so it was hard to walk like 3-4 miles to dinner and then 3-4 miles back all the time. But, so I just started, I guess that would be considered intermittent fasting, or maybe a little bit longer, you know. So I would start to do 1 or 2 meals a day, you know, but I was not fully carnivore then. I was rolling dice with meals, and I was just at the start of my little journey here. And I went out to different countries. If I'm going to fast forward, a little bit, to right now, I would always, we'll say I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning on most days. I love, I can't get up early enough, but that's just about underneath the circadian schedule. So like you don't feel it all day. But I love it. I love getting up early. Hit the coffee pot. I do drink coffee in the morning. I put a little bit of butter in there, and I kind of started that with a little bit of salt, and sometimes I put um, sodium, a little bit of potassium in there too. So I got a little bit of sodium and potassium in my coffee with butter. That's just me. I'm doing me in the morning. Okay. So, and that's it. That's all. I love that. And I would just read or whatever homework or whatever I would be into. And then the first thing I would do is either lift or swim. And that's at 5:30 in the morning. I would head over there and I would always train fasted. And it's not like I'm, oh, I have to train fasted. I'm like white knuckling it. I'm like, no, it's not even an effort. Nothing, no effort. And I enjoy it. And like you really slam it, and I kind of learned that when I was like 2 years ago when I was in Israel, like just out of coincidence, by after the fact, like, man, I just did that and I haven't had anything to eat in a long time. And then afterwards, you can go into the gym or into the pool hungry and then work out. And then you're good for 2 or 3 more hours. It's the most bizarre thing, and then I started to realize, well, you know what? I was really kind of like really in a more of a ketogenic state then, and not even knowing it, so I was burning a lot of fat and using that as fuel. And I was getting to the place that I realized I needed to be after the fact. It's kind of hard to follow, but I was where I wanted to be as I was looking for a fuel source, but I didn't realize what the fuel source was supposed to be, so it just as an accident kind of happened. So now I'm really, really dialed in and intentional with it. So I would come back and my go-to, I love bacon and eggs. And 2 years ago, I would never eat that. Oh my God, cholesterol. Oh my God, this or saturated fat. And like, it's like, kids dress up as cholesterol and saturated fat. It's Halloween around here, like the scary, demons, so I'm like, what is that all about? You do more investigating and more learning, and then view your lab reports and see how your performance is and see how your performance goes up, and I'm like, wow, this is bizarre. And that would just sit so well with me. And that would take me to, I don't know, somewhere around 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know. And I'm not like, strict, oh, I got to eat this time. I got to eat that time, and I'm never really super starving when I eat. Sometimes I say, man, I better eat something. I didn't get enough protein or something, or a couple of eggs ain't going to do it. I got to do something. So it's almost like a force feed. You know what I mean? It's really bizarre. And I would normally have like, I love ground beef, a pound of ground beef with some salt on it. Boom. And a couple of eggs. I know it's not very sexy. I love it. That is my favorite meal. I go, if I ever have to go to the chair someday, I'm just going to say, just give me a pound of ground beef. They're like, really? Yeah. With salt. Thanks. And, or a ribeye. I love the ribeyes, with a couple of eggs and just a little bit of salt. And it's such the biggest treat. And that's it. That is it. And I'm so satisfied. And there's nothing left. I go through that like a Saint Bernard, and I'm like, this is awesome. And I was never that guy. Like 5 years ago, I'd be like a cheeseburger and fry guy, I'm like, and then I'd be like, oh God, I don't feel so good. And now I'm like I like to have a pound of ground beef, please. It is kind of bizarre. And that's almost not enough. I could almost do 2 pounds of ground beef and 2 ribeyes, in one sitting and have no problem with that at all. Yes, it's so bizarre. I got on a scale today, yeah. After, of course, I got my PR in the gym, yes, and I was 182. And in college, which was a while ago, my go-to weight was 181, 182, and I never worry about weight, never. It's like no matter what I eat or anything, it's a non-issue, and it's really really bizarre. And then that would be it for the rest of the day. There's just those 2 meals. Sometimes I forget and I only have one, and I don't even remember because I'm not preoccupied. Like how, a lot of people are so like, you know, they're so 24/7. They're thinking about their next meal, or like, oh my God, I have to give up this. I can't eat that. None of that. There's none of those tensions. It's just chill all the way across, and it's so easy, and it's almost like a what would you say? Like I said before, it's almost like an inconvenience to eat something. It's like easy. Like I don't go out to entertainment to eat. It's like I would eat and then go to entertainment to, talk to someone or laugh somewhere, or like so many other things to do besides just going to eat. Just doesn't make sense to me. I go to the gym, I go swimming, I go, meet somebody, go hang out, go whatever you're into, but not centered around food. Like you're so preoccupied and driven by that force that, is something, like from Star Trek or something, that pushes you, and like it takes your thoughts away from you all day, because you're so preoccupied and, with your next meal, or what you can't eat, or what you shouldn't do, and then that battle inside you. None of that. None. Can you imagine? I go, and that's peaceful, like when you're having all those, battles in your head and you're so preoccupied, where are you when you talk to someone? Can you even hear what this person's saying to you? You're not the person that, I would want to talk to, like with a real serious issue. You're not providing that human service to another person if you're so like crazy in your head with, like your next meal and what you can or can't do, or you're, like I can't fit into my high school bugle boy jeans anymore and I'm dying, that's so prevalent, prevalent, like, can you hear what another person's saying to you, which is super important to me. It's super important to me. And the reason I got into the coaching field again, is that's number one, listening. Can you listen to another person? I feel it's very rare today, and then having all that diet and nutrition and all that part of Nial completely taken care of is completely corralled and like, content, and it's not on fire, it's very, very peaceful. And so I could be a certain way, in if I ever have the opportunity to meet someone who needs an ear, so it's like a scam I got going. A good scam, I guess you could say,
I like that. I really like that attitude. And I could not agree with you more. I know for me, when I would start thinking of food the second I woke up. And then after eating breakfast, I was thinking of lunch. And after lunch, I was thinking it was ridiculous. I was
Yeah.
consumed with food, the entertainment aspect of it. Every single thing I did revolved around food. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of went over a lot of how things have improved. But if you can pick one thing that just really stands out to you as being such a complete difference, what would it be?
This is really easy. You ready for this? Okay.
Ready.
I'd have to say this. The one thing that stands out above all else, and there's so many boxes I've checked in this that were so surprising, but the one thing that is absolute clear is I've reached a level of peace in my life that I didn't think was possible. You know, I'm like, I feel like I'm a monk without the red cape, you know, and without the shaved head. You know, there's no mountains in Chicago, but I feel very peaceful, you know, and especially with everything that's going on, it was a good test, you know, because you have to kind of piece that, you have to boil that stuff down, you know, you have to do some, you know, you have to kind of look through a lot of different things and a lot of different players on the scene and a lot of mystery and a lot of voices, and you have to kind of step back again. And I love saying that word, step back, and you really do. And you just have to be quiet and content and hope you can be quiet and content, you know. And I get a lot of that in the last couple of years, and especially in the last year. It's almost something foreign to me, you know, that you it's like speaking a foreign language or something, you know. It's something I almost have to get used to, you know. Like I'm content, you know, in doing, you know, what's right in front of me. And then there's this part of me from my history that says, oh, shouldn't you be doing something else, man? Dude, you know, shouldn't you be doing this or that? And I'm like, I think I'm good, you know. And that comes from knowing and being confident in your diet and your approach to that fuel source. That from that, I remember the day too. I was in Palestine. I was in a car with a bunch of guys that we were on a movement, you know. And I remember that day, and I remember who I was with, and I said, I think I'm looking for a different fuel source, not knowing that I would fast forward 2 years and say, you know what I got from that day? I got peace. I found it. It was bizarre. I had to go a different direction to get it, but I got it. I got a little piece. I took a piece, you know, and I like it. You know, it feels good. It tastes good, you know, and I want to give some of that away. You know, I want to, I'm kind of reaching back saying, come on, grab my hand. It's a hard, why is this such a hard sell? You know what I mean? I'm selling you the good stuff here. Come on. You know, it's just, you know, like, you know, during the coaching stuff and you know, like, and different parts of my life that were coaching, you can say, you know, there's always a little nudge to that, you know, getting closer to that fire, you know. And then there's got to be just a little bit of a push through, and then you'll realize, man, the fire was never there. That was all in your mind, you know. That was just, you know. And then I always get that, hey man, thanks for pushing me through. You know, I created the fire myself by these misperceptions and my old historical mapping and my beliefs that I don't even know where they came from. And once you start going into like diet and your lifestyle, you start to see like, wow, man, I'm uncovering beliefs that I don't know where they came from. I honest to God don't, but I'm basing my life in it. Now there's no peace in that. You know, you did not make a conscious decision in that. You're just kind of going along and you didn't realize it, but once you take a step back and you're like, you know what, I'm going to make a switch here and I'm going to turn over this rock, you'll realize that your beliefs that you've been basing your life on were like, you don't know the origin of those. And now it's like, wow, it's like an investigative search that you have to do, and it goes into your soul a little bit, and then once you spend a little bit of time there, you start to get a little taste like, you know what, I have to kind of make my own direction here. I have to make my own decision, and then that's where a lot of courage comes in, and you'll have this internal conversation and an external journey, and then you start to find some peace in that, once you start to see some benefits, and then you start to get some confidence, and you start to get that snowball rolling, and you're no longer chasing your tail or shooting yourself in the foot, but you're just going fast and furious, you're shooting a straight arrow and you're hitting a great target, and the people around you benefit. It's really bizarre, like it's a win-win. I'm in it with you guys, man. I am in it with you guys. I love you guys. You guys are just a wonderful bunch of people. You really are. Just wonderful bunch of people. Anytime I miss that opportunity to be on the forum and meet RX, I feel I lost part of my day, and it's like I consider it a part of my training. Like I need to be there, at 11 o'clock. It's like this is my time, and every time I can't make it for whatever reason, it's like, man, they stole it from me. It's like, oh, it's like felony theft. Come on now, you can't be doing that. That's not right. So anyway, did I even come close to answering your question?
You did. That was great. No, you're good. You're good.
I'm like, I live in the weeds. I swear to God. I go there right away. It starts like, on the surface, then I'm like, right down. Somewhere.
No, I love it. I think it is so incredibly amazing that when your body is working for you, what you can experience. And it's not just, oh, your blood pressure is better, you're no longer diabetic, you lost weight. No, it's the energy, it's the enthusiasm for life. It's the whole thing. So I completely agree with you, and I get the peace, I get the confidence. I mean, that's a very unexpected and almost hard to really verbally be able to state to somebody what that's like until they've experienced it. I didn't even know I was experiencing it until somebody told me that, oh my gosh, you are this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right, So it's one of those hard things, and so I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us, Niall. I really enjoyed it, and for anybody who's looking for a coach, Niall.
Oh, I would be honored to be anybody's coach. Please pick me. I'm like, I love having these conversations with you, but I tell you, like, everybody on there is great coach, and there's just wonderful people who have transformed their life, and go with like 5 or 6 different people, just random, just go down, like flip through and then grab one, boom, whoever is awesome.
I love that. That's great.
You can't go wrong. Anybody would be out.
I agree.
Great for you, But
I totally agree. Well, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, he's a good one to help you, and believe me, he likes to talk.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. It was a great opportunity. I love talking to you. I really did. It was really, really wonderful. You made my day. You made my
great.
day. You
made my day too. So there you go.
I'm not worthy.
Bye, Niall.
Take care. Bye-bye.